Hello everyone and welcome back to another Mara stock chart planning update video. We're first going to just go over Bitcoin to get a better understanding of what Mara can do, and two articles that I kind of found interesting and that I want to share, even though I've talked about one of these before, but I just want to recap it. And then going forward, guys, everything I say in this video is just my own personal opinion. It is not financial advice because I am not always right on my trades, but I do tend to stick with them until I am proven wrong. And to go ahead and get started first here, a lot of the stuff I'm going to say with Mara is the same as the last Mara update video. I just, again, want to recap it and use this video as a reminder for the short-term risk and the overall trend for Mara. But to go over these articles first real quick, a lot of these bearish articles, I mean, there's always bullish and bearish stuff, no matter what part of the Bitcoin, what structure we're in, or if we're kind of bearish or bullish market. It doesn't matter. This, for example, this article, my own opinion on it is it's speculation, just like everything in this market is. Um, it's just it's based on like some short term overvalueness, and then exchange flow trends flip bearish, and a lot of this is also retail based, and it's not really the true money that moves the market, but they end up just, saying bull run, faith remains intact, because they know that, a lot of this that they're trying to prove in this article is it's not really the true money that like motivates the market. For example, right? It's not the institutions, it's not the whales or anything like that. It's just a lot of mostly just emotion in the market with a lot of the smaller players, and that's just my opinion, of course. But and then we also have this article, which is just, I talked about this yesterday too, but it's just, more U.S. states embrace Bitcoin reserves. It's growing, and there's there's just this a lot of this background buying that I've been talking about in a lot of previous videos. Background buying of money that really matters, and the flow of where Bitcoin adoption is going, and it just continues to grow. So I said this in yesterday's video too. We're the structure we're in right now is not really that far off when it comes to the characteristics of this structure that we saw back, you know, from March to like September of 2024, where we saw this like scary long-term consolidation that just feared a lot of people out and was looking a lot bearish, even though a lot of these lower lows weren't like hefty compared to the previous one, and we weren't making any dramatic bearish moves down. And on top of that, we also had a lot of continued background buying, the money that really matters, that influences the overall, direction of this asset, no matter if we're seeing like a little bit of short term downtrend. So, seeing weakness like this, which isn't strong weakness, and we have continued background buying, um, the foundation continues to grow, then there was really no reason to fear or just be completely out of Bitcoin. It was a great time to continue accumulate during all of this. And, what we're seeing right now is something very, very similar, where we see some consolidation that feels long term, but really this hasn't been happening for a long time. It's been happening for like, I think 2 months now. It's not a crazy amount of time, and we're seeing these big swings just like in that previous structure. And these lower lows do not seem, quite obviously, they do not seem too aggressive or dramatic compared to the previous one. So we're seeing the same thing, but now we're seeing a little bit of a higher low and then another higher low right here, which just shows that there is definitely, obviously, not enough bearish momentum or bearishness. And this also has to do with a lot of the background buying, just like in that previous structure. We have the foundation continues to grow. We have a lot of um, background buying, more adoption. So there's nothing different from that previous structure. And this is all going to make sense in Mara in just a moment. And it's just a reason, just one reason not to be feared out of Bitcoin just because of that, for example. And if you look at the smaller picture right here, yeah, we continue to move sideways, and we continue to respect quite well these resistance liquidity walls, including the resistance liquidity walls down here as support. We continue to respect these. And now for a while we've been trading that premium section of this channel we've been forming. So not just that, but if you guys realize too, back here we were maxing out the lows on the RSI. We were pretty much topping out the resistances too on the RSI for the overbought nature of this asset within this time frame on the hourly candles, and now consolidating. And as you can see, we found a little bit of support right here on this wick. We're trying to use that as a support, but unlike here, now this slight dip still within the premium section is now showing signs of being oversold. So there is definitely bullish momentum growing, right? Which strengthens my expectations of this second half of February to be strong. Maybe this coming up week that starts like the trading week of tomorrow, Monday, does not have to pump. We still have 2 weeks. It can continue to be a little bit of weakness for this week, and then we can see a really good end of the week, or end of the month soon. That's very, very much possible, especially with the RSI showing bullish momentum is growing, with the fact that we didn't make another new low, and we're actually somewhat in an uptrend now that it's beginning to form. And then on top of that, we have imbalances that have previously been filled many, many times before. And we have this imbalance right here that hasn't been filled yet and is acting as a magnet area, which I do believe is the next target area that we will, I believe very, very easily we can see this being filled by the end of February. Although I do believe end of February, I do believe we will see a new all-time high, or at least retesting previous all-time highs at this 1 month liquidity. But it's very much possible for us to just come up here and retest it, because at the same time we're also seeing swing high, swing low, swings high, swing low. So we can easily just see it come up and make a little bit of a higher high on these bigger swings, because we're also seeing a higher high being formed here than here. So it's like I wouldn't be surprised, and even if it doesn't happen by the end of February, like it can happen early March. But on top of that, if you want to be a little bit more safe, like, and not looking at a bigger swing up, like you also have, this imbalance that, it's very, very much possible. And it's also within all this consolidation right here, where the price could easily come up to and consolidate once again before potentially making another move higher. The only thing we're looking out for though is this potential resistance area. So when we come up to here, this area, the RSI is going to be maxing out quite a bit. We're going to see some resistance forming in this area, which is also where previous resistance were. And, we can easily see that happen. And it can happen for a short period of time. Usually these consolidation areas that I use as a break of structure to finally start moving in a direction don't tend to trade for a long period of time, and then we can potentially see the prices come up higher. But either way, you could even say this is the next target area for you guys if you want. If you just want to use this as a potential break of structure consolidation area and then move up and try to fill in this imbalance right here as the next target area, it's completely possible. When it comes to the short-term risk, and again, this all can make sense more in the moment, but the short-term risk is also like, well, yeah, we're seeing weakness. If we can't come up and meet back in this level, like we can easily trend a little bit lower. We can easily come back down to these liquidity walls right here as support. So like this can easily continue to, very much possible, this can continue to be in play, and we can come down here and retest this area easily, right? It's very much possible. But even if this were to happen, I don't think it's going to last long, and I believe we're going to see a quick pump up, kind of like here we tested it, pumped up. It's not something I'm too worried about, because I do believe it's going to happen like super quick, and it's just not something to worry about. When it comes to Mara though, how this translates is Mara is in a similar pattern where it wants to start breaking past resistance areas to try to come back up and trade back in this range where we saw a lot of price consolidation. But in order to come up there, and we have plenty of imbalances up here, we have a lot of reasons why this stock could potentially go higher. But I wouldn't be overly bearish in thinking it's going to happen in a short period of time, because Mara does tend to relax quite a bit. And even if it does pump with Bitcoin, it usually won't pump within the same structure areas that Bitcoin will. So when it comes to being able to push up higher, all these three areas right here are very, very strong resistance areas in my opinion. These are areas that I believe everyone should be very cautious of, and maybe it may be a good idea to potentially sell portions of your position as we try to reach these imbalance areas right here, because we can easily be rejected and come back down. We've seen this happen. I don't know if it was like around mid 2024. We saw a similar like channel forming that lasted for a bit, like 1 to 2 months. Um, so I wouldn't be surprised if this area starts acting as a resistance. These areas, strong resistance to then push the price back down and try to retest, this support line that I have in white that has been holding quite strong for a while. It's been holding strong for a while. We saw it break a little bit, but it quickly recovered up. We saw it here, and within this structure also, this supportive fib extension, we've seen it get broken in a little bit, just broken into it a little bit, just like here, and then it pushes up higher. The only thing that I feel is a sign of cautious when it comes to wanting to buy at these levels is that if you are super short term on your trades, the only thing to be aware about is that we do have like a 5 to 6% drop roughly to come back down and retest the support line, and it's also retesting this premium section of this fib extension support area in red, which it can easily come down. If it's retest the support, it will also be retesting the little swing low it has right here. And we can easily see something like here where it breaks down a little bit and consolidates, but then it quickly recovers back up. So I do believe, very realistically, before we even have the potential of coming up here, I do believe there's a higher potential of the price coming down and retesting this area before potentially coming up and then finally trying to see if we're going to find resistance within this area. So that's just my sign of caution. Before we can move higher, we need to really break through these resistance areas. But I do believe that we're going to retest these areas multiple times before we can potentially come up here later into this year. It can take a while. So strong resistances, and when it comes to the short term, I do believe there's a pretty high likelihood of the price coming down and retesting this area right here before it has enough strength to break over this short little descending resistance area. So I hope that made sense, guys. The RSI also shows signs that it maybe wants to break down. This little pump up on the RSI couldn't reach this one, and it looks like it maybe wants to break below the low moving average it has there. So I would just be very, very cautious when it comes to how you approach your trades if you're a very short-term trader, because I do believe this is very, very much likely. It's very possible before we even have a chance of coming up here and trying to test these resistance areas up here. So yeah, I hope this video made sense, guys. I hope you enjoyed it, and I hope you guys are looking forward to Bitcoin starting to finally have a break of structure and making its next move higher. So I'll catch you guys soon, and take care.